So as I'm sure a lot of you have seen, prop firms are definitely getting harder again. And why is that? Why are we getting harder challenges and why are they making it harder to pass? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about that in particular, how it actually was initially even harder than it is now, even though it is getting harder. But then we went through this kind of valley of very easy, everything changing to make it easier for us, the traders. So we're going to be talking about that. Why is that? And then we're also going to be talking about this change of the challenges getting a little bit harder. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. I think it is definitely a good thing. You might be thinking, what the hell? Shouldn't it be a good thing if it's getting easier? Well, if you stick around, I'm going to be telling you exactly why I think it is a better thing and why it's good for the whole industry. So make sure you watch till then. Let's just start with this, guys. I'm here on propfirmmatch.com. I'm just going to go Forex. We're not looking at the futures for now. Forex 100 and two-step, right? And then I'm going to search and there we go. So the reason I'm looking at this is there are so many new prop firms. Prop firms are popping up all the time. Now we've seen a lot of prop firms disappear as well, which is also going to be talked about in this video. Why have they vanished? Why have they gone away? Well, it's because of the change, because of them getting easier, because of them changing everything to make it easier for us. This in turn actually is a bad thing for them. So we're going to be talking about the whole kind of timeline of how it was harder, it got easier, now it's getting harder again, and why that is. Let's look at the reasons behind all of this. So one thing I do want to point out over here is I'm actually going to take all of these and I'm going to I'm going to just do it by Trustpilot rating. Okay, so we want highest first, and there we go. What a surprise. We actually have the Fivers and FTMO up there at 4.8. Now that's interesting because the Fivers and FTMO are two of the companies I'm actually going to be talking about today, as well as others. But these guys have probably the ones that have been, well, FTMO in particular have been around the longest for sure, but they're still up there. How are they still maintaining a 4.8 after all this time? They were set up, when is it? Back in January 2015. Fivers was 2016. So two of the longest standing companies when it comes to these prop firms are the ones that are at the top of the list. Why is that? Because they haven't fiddled around too much. They haven't changed too much. Yes, they've changed small things, but their model, their business model has stayed the same, and they understand the business model. And I'm going to be talking about this because it's very important. I just want to use this as kind of my starting point. When I first started trading prop firms, FTMO was the first account I ever took. And even back then, I remember hearing about the 5%ers, but you know, for one reason or another, I chose to go FTMO, and it was a lot harder then than it is now. For example, let's go over to the FTMO website over here. Now, one thing I do want to actually just show you guys on this propfirmmatch.com, if we go to favorite firms, let's have a look at what the favorite rated firms based on this. There we go. In the top three, we've got FTMO and we've got Fivers, the two I was talking about. So not only based on Trustpilot reviews, but based on this website, which is constantly getting all the data. And these guys do a fantastic job at comparing firms, and they also have a rating system themselves. So these guys know what they're talking about, and there's a reason these companies are there. So let's have a quick look at FTMO, because I want to talk about when I first started. When I first started trading, I basically started with FTMO, and I think there's only two of the main rules. These rules that you see when you first come up to the website, and the ones that attract us or maybe get us, you know, push us away. These rules are the ones I'm talking about, because I'm sure there's very small rules in the background that have changed here and there, just based on what's happened in the prop firm industry over the last couple of years. That probably they haven't. For example, they no longer allow traders from the US. So, you know, things like that obviously have changed, but I'm talking about these rules for today because that's the whole point of this video. When I first signed up, step one, phase one, we had 30 days. You had 30 days to get your 10%, right? And then step two, you had 60 days to get your 5%. So there was a time limit. And that, I tell you, that really did make it a lot harder, a lot harder. I remember that I often was quite close, but I'd not get there because of the time constraint. And then the only other thing that I think has changed is the minimum trading days, which is now 4 when it used to be 10. Now, the reason they changed that, okay, because these guys were in the industry, they were one of the first ones there, and it started becoming very popular. Now you had a lot of people coming in thinking, okay, he has a brilliant business model, I can make a lot of money. These prop firms were like, damn, we can make some serious money here, let's jump on board, you know? So there all of a sudden was a big pool of prop firms, and these guys are all competing with each other, right? These guys are all in the same business. It's a business at the end of the day, and they have to get customers. Because let's talk about the business model. The business model with a prop firm is, at its core, we as traders want to get funded. They are offering us the funding, but we have to pay. We have to put money down. We have to, for example, a 100K account, we have to put $500 down to basically even take the challenge. That's not a guaranteed $500, there we go, there's your account. No, we have to take the challenge, right? We have to go through the challenge and we have to get funded. So these guys are making capital by us paying for these challenges. That's how they are building up capital. And eventually when the few traders that get through the net and actually get to a funded account and then also get to a payout, 1, 2, or 3, however many it is, that point they are basically digging into the funds that they've generated from us, the traders, paying the challenge fee. That challenge fee is what has created the capital, right? So that's what they're paying us from. So that's the business model, guys. We all know that. And if you don't know that, where have you been? You know, that's how I would say probably 95% of these prop firms work. You know, there's a few others that, you know, do slightly different things. Some of them that talk about a booking, but we're specifically going to be talking about this business model. So obviously, as more companies come in and there's more competition for these guys, what do? They need to attract us. They need to grab us, the traders' attention. So what do? They start changing the rules to make it a more attractive worm on the hook for us, the traders, right? So these guys are just casting the rod, casting in, but they need to be attractive. So what do? They make it easier. And that is not a bad idea, right? But the problem is, once you get to a point when you've made it too easy, you're kind of breaking the foundation of how this business model works, because what ends up happening, you're making the challenges way too easy. You're dropping the prices way too much. So all of a sudden, this capital that they were building up is getting smaller because the buy-in fees are smaller. So that's getting smaller. While in the meantime, more traders are getting funded because it's easier. More traders are getting through the net. Suddenly the net is a little bit, we've got more holes in, let's just say it's got more holes. More of us are getting through and more of us are requesting payouts. So now not only is this capital smaller, but more of us are asking for it, grabbing into it. And that, you know, starts really breaking down the foundation of this whole business model. And that's what we saw happening. We saw companies like MyForex Funds, True Forex Funds, all these companies starting to really change their models, dropping their fees, you know, all this going on. And then, you know, what starts kind of happening is these guys all of a sudden realize, oh no, we're paying too many of our traders. Too many of our traders have got through the net and now they're asking us for money and we don't have the money. So what do? We start denying payouts. We start looking for reasons to not pay them. We start fiddling with the feed. We start doing things that we shouldn't be doing because we're in a situation that we've got ourselves into and we're kind of like, oh no, what do? And that's what happens with MyForex Fund. They have the bodies looking into them saying that you guys have been fiddling, you guys have been doing stuff you shouldn't. And why is that? Because all of a sudden more traders are requesting cash and the model is breaking down. Now, FTMO are one of the few companies that did not change too much. Like I said, they changed two things. But interestingly, they were one of the first to change this, the trading period, to unlimited. Now, obviously, these guys were the top of the game, and all of a sudden, players like MyForex Funds start trying to rip them off their top spot. So they have to do something, right? But they were very smart because it was like, what can we do to make it more attractive, but it's not going to break the foundation. It's not going to change. These guys understand the business model and how it needs to work in order for the whole ecosystem to stay strong. So these guys changed that, which was enough to keep traders interested, right? All of a sudden, hold on, FTMO is still a viable option because now it's unlimited. That used to be one of the hardest things, was the time. Then they also go into the minimum trading days, which used to be 10, which used to suck. You know, you had to trade for 10 days before you could actually go on to the next. Then they dropped that. And that's about it. You know, they're still one of the highest costs, but even with all of this, they are still top of the pile. They're still up there, guys. So, you know, this is the problem. And that's why as things got easier, as these companies undercut each other and really kind of started competing to a point that it was breaking the model down, we started seeing companies shut one after the other. We've seen a lot of companies shut down. True Forex Funds is another one. You know, they basically did try come back, and because they had been closed for so long, they kind of, I think they were forced to a certain degree to try and make it more attractive, but they could never really claw back because they owed too many traders money. Too many traders had got through the net. Too many traders were requesting payouts, and they just could not maintain. Then eventually they had to shut down. We've seen a lot of other companies also go down. Some of them were also down to bad management, let's be honest, where, you know, a lot of the money that should have been there for the capital to pay the traders were going elsewhere to pay for some nice big houses and cars and stuff like that for some people that it probably shouldn't have been. So, you know, there was also bad management, but this is the reason I actually say that now that we've got the rules kind of getting a little bit harder, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because now what's happening is it's getting a bit harder. Less people are getting funded as a result, which, yeah, you know, us as the trader, maybe we look at that as a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing, because if you are a good trader, you're still going to get through to the funded account. Because let's be honest, you don't want everyone getting a portion of that, because, you know, it's the good traders that kind of get through, the traders that have systems that work, that are getting through. Let them get paid, and the less that is in that pool of people, the better it runs for the whole company. You know, they can maintain this capital, they can continue paying, they don't have to start, you know, looking for reasons to not pay people. So all round, I think the challenge is getting a little bit harder again. Is a good thing for the industry, is a good thing for everyone, because it just works. That's how the business model thrives. So I think we've got to run with that, we've got to accept that, and we've just got to trade better. With that being said, here at Blue Edge, we have an EA called TitanX that basically gets people funded. And we have a lot of people, I'm sure I have a lot of people asking, unless I actually say this. So then, you know, why is it still difficult for you guys? Are you guys finding less people getting funded because it's getting harder? Actually, no, we are maintaining our funded rate. If not, it's got better, even though these challenges are getting more difficult. And the reason being is we have a whole community that has full access to our EA and all the settings, and we give them the full freedom to basically try any variation of those settings that they want, put it through a back testing system, and then it goes onto a leaderboard. And once it's on a leaderboard, it means if it's made it to the top of the leaderboard, it means that not only is it good for current market conditions, but it's also working for the current challenges. The challenges, no matter the rules, no matter what the rules are, if it's on that board currently, it means that based on the more difficult rules, it's still getting past, you know, it's still getting through. So it's a phenomenal system that just really works. And we've got thousands of set files on this leaderboard. So, you know, there's so much to choose from. Our customers constantly make their own, can tweak it to basically come up with their own strategies. And then we have a lot of our guys working in the background that are also putting up strategies. So the system just works really well. I mean, we are currently, it keeps changing, but I think the last number we had was just slightly over 900 of our community have currently been funded with using this. So it's not changed for us. They can make it as hard as they want. They can change the rules as much as they want, but our EA just keeps adapting to whatever's thrown at it. So if you guys are interested in this, if you find that it is getting a bit too difficult for you and you want a little bit of help, go to www.propfarming.com, have a look at the demo video there, you know, fill in the form, sign up, because I promise you won't be disappointed. This thing just works. So with that being said, guys, that's the video. Very basic one. It's a great topic, and it's one that I think, you know, I really wanted to talk about the flow of how it went from very hard to easy to now getting a little bit more difficult, and I think it's a good thing. So I'm glad you guys joined. Thank you very much for joining, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you around for the next video, the one after that, and all the videos in the future. Make sure you're here because we've got some great content coming. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.